guys, today I am joined by my friend Amber Alise from the channel Amber Alise, and we will be discussing Monday is Not Coming by Tiffany B. Jackson. I read this about a month ago. Amber, you read it like a year ago, didn't you?
I did, and I told you that it was so ironic that you literally read it around the same time that I read it last year.
So you're right, it was almost exactly a year difference.
So it was fate for us to talk about this book.
It was, absolutely. So Amber, actually, when we first started chatting, you were the one that recommended this book to me. No, you didn't. I was just watching your videos. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. So you passively recommended it to me.
But I think you did mention it. I think you did talk to me about it. And I was like, I love this book.
Yes. And I thought I would like it because I like literary fiction. But holy cow. This book was incredible. It was devastating, but it was incredible. And as soon as I finished it, I was like, we got to talk about this. We need to have a discussion. So we are here to discuss it. Yes. I'm going to give a quick synopsis, if that's okay. And then
go ahead.
We can dive in. Okay. So Monday is Not Coming. This is going to be a spoiler-filled chat, but I will link Amber Alise's spoiler-free video in the description if anybody wants to check it out. But Monday is Not Coming is about a young girl, Monday, and our main character, Claudia. Monday has gone missing. Claudia and Monday are best friends, and Claudia is trying to figure out where she is. She's asking her parents to help her, her teachers, the police, and everyone is brushing her off. And we get flashbacks to their relationship before the missing case and the now as she's desperately trying to figure out what's going on. And it just continues to escalate. And we get reveals, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on, but that is the foundation of this story. Amber, do you want to give some of your general thoughts on it?
I said this in my first video. The book was haunting. That's the word that when people ask me about it, when they want to know my opinion about it, I say it was haunting. And both in good and not bad ways, but really life-changing ways.
Yeah.
I've heard of things like this. I've seen it, but the way this was written to watch it play out the way that it did affected me so much. I couldn't read another book for a week. I just had to process it. It touched me that much. And I feel like it's something that opened my eyes to things that even to this day now I am so much more aware of. And it's so much more than a story. It's a lesson. And it's one of my favorite books, and I just I recommend that anybody take the time to read this book because it's so powerful and impactful.
I completely agree. Actually, that's one of the main things that I took away from this is that this is a book that teens need to be reading, but this is books that educators and parents need to be reading with their teens. This is a story that's not just about a young friend missing the signs, but desperately trying to help in any way she can. This is also a book about a young girl who can't quite understand what's happening. Claudia can't quite understand what's happening to Monday, but she's desperately searching for someone to help. And the adults in her life are missing it. And this is such a cautionary tale for adults to listen to kids, pay attention to the things that they're trying to communicate, both in Monday, who is trying to check out the right books, who is trying to do the right web searches, who's trying someone to see her breadcrumbs that she had been dropping. And Claudia, who couldn't understand everything that she was seeing, but knew something was wrong. And everybody just brushing it all aside instead of stopping and listening and asking questions before it was too late.
Yep. That brings me to, we're getting into the spoilers right now, right? Okay,
yeah,
great.
Let's go.
Okay, I was kind of rereading the ending, and something that really bothers me, and you can let me know because you're a parent, and maybe my interpretation of this is I'm inexperienced in it. I loved Claudia's parents, but I'm really disturbed that they, especially the mom, never went full force. I don't want to say full force because it's not her situation, but she spoke to Monday. She was one of the last people who spoke to Monday. And she said when Monday got out the car, Monday was crying and clearly upset about something. Claudia is telling her that something is wrong. I just can't fathom that they see that this child is missing and nothing was done by her parents. And I don't know. She also said that with Claudia dealing with everything and she already had lost a baby, she didn't want to lose Claudia further by maybe Claudia thinking she was a part of Monday missing because she did call social services and she thinks that's why Monday could have gotten into trouble. But if you called social services before, why wouldn't you do something when the girl is literally missing?
Mm-hmm. So her mom did mention after everything unraveled, after we found out that Monday's been gone for 2 years and Claudia, has been relapsing in her memory and everything, she did mention that in that scene, when it looked like something was truly wrong, she did call, I think she called DCBS or social services or whatever, and they went to her home, and then she never heard anything after that. But then Monday was gone. So she had thought that Monday had been removed from the home, and then she didn't ask any further questions, which was wrong, but she had thought that the problem was solved and then didn't realize until she was found that the problem had never been solved.
I think I would have looked into it further just to see if that was the case, but I don't know.
No, I get you. I think I don't know how much they could have disclosed. Like, if she went to social services and then said, "How did it go?" Like, as not a family member, as not somebody that legally can have that information, I don't know that they could have told her how it went.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. I'm not in the system, so I don't know. I think that this story is a series of people not doing enough. It's a series of people that look back at the way they handled the situation and saying, I should have done more.
Yeah.
And I think, I talked to you a little bit about this after I finished reading the book, but I grew up in a bad area, and there were a lot of kids that were displaced, a lot of kids that didn't have good homes. There were a lot of situations that were not good that I witnessed secondhand growing up. And I think it's really easy to see. I think it's not easy all the time to know exactly how far you're supposed to go with something or how bad the situation is until you realize, oh, I need to step in now, and I probably should have already stepped in. And this is a book reminding people, step in faster, respond faster. Don't bite your tongue because you're afraid you're going to, ruffle the feathers of the neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree with that. And I guess that is Tiffany D. Jackson said that this was, or a part of this story, her writing it had to do with a situation with her friend when her friend went missing for a week, her best friend, and also missing children of color, and how that the attention just isn't given to that. Right. And it's just not a priority, unfortunately. And I think you're right. I think it's what I should take from this, because it's just bothered me so much, but it is the reflection. It is we didn't do enough, and
exactly
how can we do better going forward? Because it happened, and it is what it is, and now maybe one less person will go through this. So I completely agree with what you just said.
Right. Yeah. That's the way I took it. Is it happened? It will happen again. So let's talk about it. Yeah. So that it stops happening so much. Yeah. And that story, oh gosh, it kills me. It kills me to see. I loved the way she told this story. I loved the very slow unraveling. I loved the misunderstandings left and right. I look at April, and my heart just breaks. Monday's older sister, who was acting out and who was rebelling and who was, being this very guarded and angry person and making a bunch of choices that just caused people to call her the hoe. That just caused people to say, like, oh, stay away from her or you'll get a bad reputation, And like, she was screaming too. just like Monday was, just in a different way. But she was screaming too. Every piece of her action was shouting about something, and people just wrote her off just like they did Monday. And it's just, it breaks my heart. And then the fact that, like, they did get taken away at one point, and April's response to that was, don't tell anybody anything so that we can't get separated ever again. And it's like, that's a really real reaction, like, that's a really real, my family is all I have, and so I don't want anyone to know that I'm being abused so that I can stay with my family. But, like, you don't want Tuesday and August to grow up,
Yeah.
being abused, and it just, from every angle, I feel like she handled everything just showing it in the most raw and real way, not in the, like, here's the right way to do it kind of thing,
Yeah.
And it's so hard to read. Sorry, go ahead.
No. You're right. And now that you're saying that, the way she allowed everything to unravel, even with April, things are going to be revealed because that's the point of the story, that Monday's missing and we're going to find out where she is. But everybody's truth kind of comes out, and the people that seemed better, they come out looking worse, and the people that seemed worse come out looking better. For example, April looking like she is the fast girl that is just always around boys. And then, there's a part where later we see her going to a group of guys for those reasons. And Monday is saying, April, please don't do that. She's like, look, your school, I can't even, it kills me. Your school uniforms cost a lot. So I got to do what I have to do. And then you see, this is a child doing unfathomable things to take care of her other siblings that are also children, and then being reprimanded for that, and her reputation tarnished when she's the only thing that these kids have for a parent. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because it's so easy to look at, like, the bigger topic of Monday, which is obviously huge.
Yes.
But everybody in that situation was in so much pain, and she had to watch it all and lead it all, coming from a place of dysfunction to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think she's such an inspiring character too, because even though I could look at her actions and I could look at the choices that she made to keep the family together and how that only kept them in abuse longer, like, you can look at all those things and you could say, well, you should have. But like you said, she was a child. She was a child who had been brought up in severe abuse, and who was doing everything she could to protect her siblings the only way she knew how. And even her story, I think, is just like, there's so much. Obviously, there's so much you could talk about with Monday and with Claudia, but there's so much that you could talk about with April as well. And so many kids that are in that situation too, where it's like, I'm suffering as much as you are, but I'll actually suffer more so that you can suffer just a little bit less.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was hard. That was really hard. And then the other kids, the one that the little girl who pretty much had a mental breakdown, and
Mental breakdown. Who?
Tuesday?
Yes.
Was it Tuesday?
I don't remember a mental breakdown. You mean when her sister was talking to her from the closet?
No. Yes. Whenever. So I think she ended up going to some kind of psych ward. Yes.
Oh, yes. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. I don't know why that part sat with me so much. It wasn't talked about a lot. Like, it was like a sentence.
It was really quick.
Yes. Yeah. But that really, really messed with me. That was one of those things that I couldn't shake, because you just realize, like, this is it's already a horrible situation, but when you see something like that, it exemplifies the trauma that they went through. And for a little, because sometimes when they're young like that, they don't even remember. It's like, oh no, this is real, and this affected every single one of them, and it's going to affect them for quite some time.
Yeah. The thing that really sticks with me about Tuesday is that line that I already mentioned where she was saying, oh no, Claudia's still home. She lives in the closet. She talks to us through the closet. And the fact that this little girl is so accustomed, because she watched August get beat to death and get shoved in the freezer. So, like, the fact that this abuse is so common in her home that this child thinks that it's normal.
Yeah.
That when everybody else is saying, no, Claudia's not here, Tuesday's like, yeah, she's just living in the closet. She's just talking to me. And, like, what's Monday doing in the closet? She's crying and begging to be let out. She's begging for water. And to Tuesday, that just means, yeah, she's still living here. Like, that horrifying scene is normal to her. Like, that just... that haunts me. That's a reality. That's not fiction.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, that's hard to think about.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then too, I'm sorry, I'm just like digging into all the worst scenes. Go. But too, also April, again, trying to protect her family. Her goal was making sure that she and Tuesday didn't get split up. So she put Monday in the freezer, not even knowing if Monday was dead yet.
I didn't realize that until I reread it, the ending.
Really?
When the mom was giving her, I knew she said that she had helped, but when the mom said that she didn't know how Monday got into the freezer, I remembered April saying that she helped put her in there, but knowing that she made the executive decision, that the mom didn't even put her. Oh, the mom could be lying, but from what I understand.
No, but April said it too.
Yes, that
April told her. Yeah.
Okay,
because her mom said she was content to just keep beating her. She was like, you stay in there as long as you need to.
Yes, so she could rot. Yes, okay.
Yeah. And April made the choice, okay, we're just going to put her away because if she does get out, if she does escape, she'll speak. And then we'll be separated. And again, it's just like the
Murphy.
stuff that April
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Ugh. Okay.
I mean, she might have been dead at that point, but she wasn't sure, and her priority was, okay, she's gone. So now, me and Tuesday. It's me and Tuesday. I don't know. It's rough.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think this could seem like, I think the odd thing about this is it was a very extreme situation, and you can look at it like, well, this doesn't happen every day. But I think that's the problem. That was something that did happen in every day. Like,
and does
happen.
And does. Like, maybe not in every household kids are getting stuck in the freezer, but
right.
This is something that's, like, children are getting abused, and people are looking away.
Yes.
And people are missing the signs or seeing it and just saying, well, should I do something? I actually remember one of my good friends actually, like, came to me and said, okay, here's what's happening in my home.
Wow.
And then I went to an adult, and they called DCBS, and they came to her home, and the parents answered the door. They talked to the parents, and then they were like, they said nothing happened. Like, bare minimum. And then they left, and then she got beat for telling someone. And then the adults were like, we did it. We called. We did the thing. So what do you want from us? And, I'm a kid. I don't know. I did the thing. I went to the adults. What else am I supposed to do? And, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, this is real life. Like, this is stuff that I watched, that I that happened. And the fact that I think, too, Tiffany B. Jackson really needs so much praise on the way she wrote this story, too, because she makes it so up close and personal that it's like, we went through this with these characters, like, we watched this happen, too. And she has this powerful way of writing about real life things in a way that, like you said, it haunts us. It sticks with us. It attaches itself to us, and it will not let go. And that's exactly what these kinds of stories need. We need that so that we can be watching and actively moving when we see this stuff happening.
Well, yeah, and when you say that brings me to the brilliant way she made all of this come to light with the before, the after, and you coming to the realization that Claudia was so traumatized by everything that happened that she's been living in the past. Like I don't even know how to describe it. The way everything came out, I've never, the way she did that was very, very novel. And it made an already, the facts by themselves would have been a impactful story, but the way that she allowed everything to trickle out and how damaged everybody really was through the way that she released all the information, and seeing that Claudia had a breakdown in the cafeteria that led her to thinking she was 14 on and off. That just blew my mind away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I'd love to talk to you about that, because I don't know how I feel about the way they handled Claudia's trauma.
Okay. Okay.
Her, not Tiffany B. Jackson, the family.
No,
the people, everybody. Because, like, she's stuck in this false past, in this false reality of what today is. And she's terrified for her friend. And she keeps relapsing. Like, she comes to the point where she remembers, and then she just relapses again. Over and over again, she's reliving this horror and having to rediscover it. And the fact that they just play along and ignore her and brush her aside, like, that's the way I took it. They're just brushing her aside over and over and over again, saying, oh, she's probably with her dad. Oh, it's probably, we called social services. Oh, it's probably nothing. She probably just doesn't want to be your friend anymore, They're brushing her aside over and over and over again, and she's reliving the trauma over and over and over again. And I don't know. Would a therapist recommend that? Is that truly the way to heal someone of their trauma?
I don't know if I would do it that way. What I do wonder is, so when she was in the cafeteria and those boys, which, by the way, was just sickening, they were bullying her and saying, like, how did you not know your friend was dead? And she was thawed out like a turkey. That thing just, it makes me so sick.
Yeah.
But when she started getting triggered by what the people, like her friends that were, the people that were defending or trying to stop them from bullying her, and her hearing the buzzing and people going back and forth with the facts, and she just lost it and kept screaming. I don't know if they were trying to prevent her having that meltdown, and if they were to go straight into, like, this is what happened, if they weren't sure if that would trigger her to again break down like that.
Yes, but I also feel like they should have been able to foreseen that not everybody in the entire town would play along perfectly.
That is very true.
Like, we're talking about kids here. We're talking about 16-year-olds.
Yeah, yeah.
I would never send my 16-year-old to school living in trauma, like PTSD that has caused a relapse of self and memory, thinking these teenagers will handle this elegantly. They'll be mature. Teens are never bullies. Teens are never jerks. You know what I mean? Like, to think that could go better than for you to gently talk through your child with something is just, like, wild to me. Like, you have way too much faith in humanity.
Well, but I think that's why they had her homeschool for a year, which that I honestly
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, tell me about that.
I don't know if, because at some point they're just isolating her. I don't know how they're fixing anything, like you said, and that was a great point. They're basically wanting the whole town not to say anything. They want to keep her inside her house, basically. Her one friend, Michael, who's very loyal to her and her family, so he's not going to try to mess anything up. The only thing they did do was let her do dance again, which I thought was probably the best thing that they did, just because I think art can be very healing, and it was a way to express herself. But
But they did the sleepover whenever she got invited to the sleepover.
Yes.
But then it's like, okay, are you going to isolate or are you going to talk to her? You can't tell her nothing and then send her out into the world of teens when they all know more than her.
That's true.
Especially when we know, like she even said, every time she rediscovers this, every time she remembers, like she loses it because it's all the trauma washing back on her, which is real. Like that does happen. When children experience extreme trauma, well, this happens to adults too, their brains can just shut that off to protect them. Like that's a real thing. And then if the memories do come back, it is like a flood. It's like, this is real psychology, but also, why'd you handle it like that? Why didn't you find a better way?
But you want to know, I feel like Claudia, and I think I've seen other people say this in reviews, Claudia in general, and you can let me know if you disagree, even before Monday, when you go to the before, they always kind of treated her like she was younger than she was to me. Like there was always this thing of like, even when you realize, like we see Monday's journal and that or we just learn about Monday's life in general, and she's not as cookie cutter as Claudia. It's kind of like people, even Monday herself, which she's a kid, I get it, but let her live in this kind of like clouds and rainbows kind of world. And I think it almost made her seem delayed a little bit in her emotional intelligence.
Sure. I do think, I mean, she was 14 when Monday went missing, right? So she was a very jealous friend. She had a very codependent friendship with her, where it was like, I don't want you to like boys. I don't want you to have other friends. We do everything together. We plan our lives together. Like, hold her with a clenched fist kind of friend. But I feel like that's a 14-year-old girl. Like, I don't know that I mean, it looked unhealthy from the outside, but I don't know that I took that in any kind of special way. And then with Monday keeping stuff from Claudia, to me, that was just like, I can't let her see how bad it is because she wouldn't understand, because her life is good, because I can't put this burden on her, because what could she do? Like all the reasons why a victim doesn't talk about their abuse.
I agree with that. But it even came down to Monday not, I think it wasn't it, and it's been a while since I only read some of the last part of the book, but when she was talking about like pretending to like her favorite color or something, like, or boys, or her wanting to hang, it was like Claudia took everything like you're right, 14 is, I mean, that's still pretty young, but she reminded me of like a 10-year-old more than a 14-year-old to me.
Yeah. But you're probably right. She probably was a bit emotionally immature.
And I feel like they had been kind of stunning her growth a little bit. But you're right. There's also just like, she was young regardless. Even at 14, she's not, she's has a ton of developing to do. And I see your perspective on that.
I kind of view, and this is just, you feel free to disagree. I view all that, like the stuff about, Monday pretending that her favorite color is pink, but she hates pink, and like all that stuff that you just mentioned, more like as Monday viewing herself as broken. Because like imagine the stuff that she heard in that home. Imagine the things that were said to her. And her just being like, okay, I have a friend who loves me. Keep her, So like, you like purple? I don't like purple anymore. You like this? I like it too. Like, just being afraid that she's not truly worthy of the friendship that she has, and so doing everything she can to make that friendship perfect.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I never took it that way, but I can 100% see that. I like this. And because that takes, because I did see a lot of people, and I love reading other people's reviews about books that I love, like on Goodreads. I can spend forever doing that. But I like this take on it because it takes it more from continuous gloominess to like her trying to keep some light in her life.
Oh, yeah. Like that line at the very end, I wrote it down. Didn't I? I think I did. Yes. You did save her, Claudia. You saved her from that house for years, and you didn't even know it. When she was talking about, like for years, she found refuge in you. She found a safe haven. She found a place of escape and acceptance. And, you know, when Claudia just felt like, oh, I failed her, you know, and it was like, we all failed her, but you were the one person that saved her daily. Like, oh, I thought that was so beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting because I thought that after so much time had passed with me reading this, like hearing stuff like that, and when I was rereading the ending, how I was still crying. And I'm like, what is there's so much beauty in the pain in this book.
Yes.
And I feel like it's an experience that is very hard to go on, but that is also so rewarding in this way that doesn't necessarily make sense, but makes so much sense. And and I think it's hard not to produce conversations like this when you have something written in this manner, so strategically digestible. And I don't know, when you said that line, it just triggered that in me that, that's something that I think it's important to take from this, to see that beauty in the midst of all of this chaos.
Yeah, Tiffany B. Jackson really did a phenomenal job. Like, I really don't know that I would change anything about this book. You know, like if I were to conceptualize something like this and just theoretically say this would make a good version of this story, I don't think I could. I don't think there's anything I could say that she could have done better, because between the slow unraveling, where if kids are reading this book and they don't know to see the signs, they're going to see them along with Claudia, not know what to do with that information, but feel that it's wrong, just like Claudia does.
Yeah.
And then slowly learn it alongside her. The fact that she doesn't just leave it at Claudia's story, but at the entire town's failure of this girl. The fact that she emphasized also at the police station, like, this is not just Monday, you know, like, this is a real issue beyond this one story. And it's something that we need to be paying attention to. The fact that she wrote it in such an up close and personal way so that we feel like it's happening with us too. Like, I'm just amazed. And even the fact that she tackled these little things like dyslexia on top of the bigger thing. It's how do you have room in this story to also talk about how Claudia was failed and pushed aside, and how she felt stupid, and how she needed help, and her help was found in a friend doing the work for her because she couldn't find help from her teachers. And like, how are you also getting this in here too? It really blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. She also, when you mentioned that about the dyslexia, something else she mentioned that was kind of a focal point in here was gentrification. And she threw that in there as well.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Gentrification. Sorry. Did I?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're fine.
No. She managed to talk about so many different important topics without it being oversaturated, because you can have like that trauma overkill where it's like every little thing is so heartbreaking to the point where it's like, okay, where's the story here?
Right.
We still had a solid core story with all these elements to it. I do want to know, though, because this was a con that I had rereading those parts. I don't mind it as much now, but a lot of people had issues with the before, the after, and it not making sense or flowing as well. What did you think about it? Yeah, as a new reader to it.
I don't know that I had any issue with the flow.
Okay.
What specifically, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think people, now I can clearly see it. So I'm trying to go back to my mindset and what I think other people thought. I think it was really the before. Because if you're not paying attention while reading it, it doesn't make as much sense. When I went back and just was like, oh, it all clicks. But I think on a first read, a lot of people were I think I even have a comment on my video about somebody telling me that they didn't understand that part, or it didn't flow, I guess, the way that it should have. But I see it now, but I didn't know if you had that issue, because it doesn't seem like you did.
No, I don't think I had any issue keeping it apart. I think part of the thing is just my reading style. I'm very much like an open-handed reader. So if something doesn't make perfect sense, and I'm like, it will. And I just keep reading, and then it just kind of, falls into place.
Yeah.
So I don't remember reading something and being like, I don't get it. Because I'm just like, yeah, I'll get it. And then I just keep reading.
Okay, no, that makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yeah. Did you also have issues with that, did you say?
I did. I believe I mentioned that, and I loved what it did. I loved how I understood what happened, but I was confused by the before parts.
Okay.
But then when I'm seeing it now, I'm like, oh, it's the before when Monday was here, the before when Monday was here, the before she kind of had her breakdown, and then the after, which is where she's currently.
Where she is now.
Yeah. But before I was a little kind of confused, but yeah.
I can see how that would read confusingly. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's some other things that are the book did so much.
What did you think of the bullying?
Oh, yeah. Like with the kids and how they were like, oh, those two are a couple, taking pictures of them and posting them online. That was horrifying. But again, like, that is stuff that's happening. Like, this is real stuff.
I was, that was, I don't know how much, in Claudia too, because they really mess with Claudia a lot too, but I don't know how Monday kept it together. I have remember when she dyed her hair and it didn't come out right, and they were.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I forgot about that scene. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. They did so many things too. Spreading rumors whenever Monday went over to talk to that boy. Or to they kissed, and and then he was like making a thing of it, and she did his hair. She was really good at braiding hair. Like, she had something that she was genuinely so talented at, and was confident and ready to step up and make a name for herself. And even that, they just,
But you made a good point. It's like, I'm not saying it is, but man, I'm wondering, like, how many times do we overlook these things? Like, because we're in it. You said it so well earlier. Like, we're in this story. We're doing it with them. We're going through it. But how many times when I was in school did I see stuff?
Oh, yeah.
It makes me just question, like, you're saying this about them, but what did I let slide?
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's why the story is so important, because it's showing the effects of that. Like, we're seeing what Monday went through, and we're seeing what Claudia went through. And, like, to actually follow those threads through and not just passively see it and then, like, feel uncomfortable and not know what to do, but to actually follow it all the way to the end, that makes us, the next time we see something like that, that makes us want to step in more.
Yeah.
Man, there's just so many things.
I know that when she did her dance, because I think, if I recall correctly, she did her dance to All I Ask by Adele. And I love that song. And so when she was going to dance to that, and she did it at the end, I just bawled my eyes out, because it's just about two people who aren't going to be together anymore, and for her it's her friendship. And so when I was thinking of that song and the lyrics and her, like, saying her goodbyes, even now it kills me, but it was such a beautiful moment and song. And when I hear that now, I can't even think of the song the same anymore. In a good way, but I attribute it to that book. But that there were just so many moments like that, and I think that's why it's so effective, because it touches you in so many different areas. Yeah.
So you said that Tiffany B. Jackson is your favorite author, probably. Not officially, but probably.
She is, she's teetering at number one. She's very, I just think her books have a great way of telling an important story, having really good twists and turns, but still keeping the pacing very well. Also, having great books with you know, Black characters as the lead characters, and there's just there's so much in her stuff. And like I said, even her book that I like the least of them all still was a great story.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend all of her books. I read Grown this year. That one tripped me out. That was really good. She's just she has a way with words, no pun intended.
She does. She really does. Well, you were my introduction to Tiffany B. Jackson with Monday Is Not Coming. Since then, I've read The Weight of Blood, which we were talking about before we started this discussion. And yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, The Weight of Blood, I liked it significantly less than Monday Is Not Coming, but I still read it in 2 days. Yeah. Like, I still could not put it down.
Yes.
And it's just like, I don't know. You put it really well earlier, actually, with the fact that she takes real life horrors, you know, like Missing Girls with The Weight of Blood. It's like these small town, the bullying and the racism and the abuse and like all these real life horrors.
Yeah.
And then she creates a story around it. But, like, the story is about, we need to talk about something. But then she also manages to not make it, and this is what I'm recalling that you said earlier, not make it so much that it's just, like, it's like torture. It's hopping from one torture to another. Even though she writes it in a very honest tragedy, it's also still, there's enough hope. Yes. There's enough, like, it feels like there's a call to action almost at the end of her books where it's like, but we can change, but we can make it better, but we can do better each individually. And like, without being preachy, without being like, hey kids, let's talk, you know, like, it's just, she does such an amazing job.
I love the way you phrase that. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It's informative and it's impactful without badgering you to death that you have to do this to me. It's not a lot of propaganda.
Exactly.
It's just saying, hey, this is happening. Be aware.
Yeah.
Because you can help stop it from happening.
Yeah.
The end.
She never has like a turn to the camera moment.
Yes.
It's always the story.
Yes.
But through the story, you can come away saying, okay, this is real life.
Yes.
I can do better.
Yes.
Yeah, she's incredible. So what do you recommend? I have one more question, actually, about the book. But what do you recommend as my next Tiffany B. Jackson?
Ooh. A lot of people really like Allegedly. I
have that one on my list.
Okay. I liked it. I wasn't as floored by it like a lot of people, but I get why they are. I get it. It's a good story. Honestly, for me, Grown is my second favorite book from her.
All right, that'll be my next one then.
And I didn't think it's different because I don't really, I say this, but I'll end up reading them. I don't really like books about the music industry. I don't know why. I think just because I usually get where it's going and the kind of stuff that happens in it. But this book, it went to levels that I just didn't expect. And it's also, there's a murder mystery aspect to it, and you see some of the insane stuff that goes on in the music industry. It's very good. I wouldn't recommend it for middle school students, maybe around 11th grade and up, but it's very good and I highly recommend it.
I would also not recommend this for middle grade students.
Yeah.
I think that you have to I'm gonna read this with my kids, but high school age, because even though these conversations need to be had sooner than that, they need to be had in middle school and probably elementary school as well. Regardless, like, this is a little bit too intense. You need some emotional maturity to be able to get through this.
Yes, I'm glad you're saying that because I thought about it and I was like, I told you and Gavin I haven't read middle grade books, and I'm like, she's going to think that I did read a middle grade book, but I just don't think of it that way. Is this middle grade? Well, I think I say that because they were in middle school when it started, but it just, I don't take it as a middle grade book at all.
Yeah, I would expect it to be a YA book.
Yeah.
But it's like the most intense YA book I've ever read in my life, and every adult should read it too.
And I think it is labeled as young adult. But since they start off in middle school, it's like, oh, this is, but no.
Well, in the majority of the book, she thinks she's 14.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here's my question, my sad, sad, sad question. When you read this book, did you think Monday was coming? Were you waiting for her in the end?
Great question, but no.
Really?
No.
Well, it's in the title, so you're smarter than me. I thought she was coming. I kept waiting. I was waiting. I thought she was hiding to protect herself, and I kept waiting. I know.
I couldn't stop this sinking feeling, like, as I was I just couldn't. And then, well, what did you think? At what point? I think that's a good. I think for me to understand. At what point did you realize that she wasn't coming?
When they found her.
Really?
I know. I think I'm the dumbest reader of this book that's ever existed.
You're the most.
No, it was there. Like, it was all there. I couldn't see her ending it that way without it being just the most depressing, sad, like, come away saying, why did we do this book? Like, I felt like there had to be hope at the end.
I see.
And Monday coming back was the only kind of hope I could see. And she knocked it out of the park by telling the realest, saddest, most tragic version of this story and still give us hope. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't see that until I experienced it. It just didn't seem like it could be a story that way.
When you say it like that, I completely get why you would think. I will say, when April, though, Monday, I mean, Claudia kept approaching April. I think it was in the
And she said Monday's not coming.
Because that part, I think I told you this before, that part just, it solidified everything when she said, Claudia, Monday's not coming. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But I can still see why you're...
Yes. Well, I think, too... So I didn't watch your review, your spoiler-free review, until after I had read it. All I saw was it was your favorite books of the year, and you just briefly mentioned it, and then I bought it. And I didn't know anything else about it. So I think if I had looked into it, even just like a tiny little bit, and I knew, like, this is a story about missing people of color and how their stories are not reported on nearly as much. They are not looked for nearly as much. Like, if I knew what this was about, what the point of this was, then I probably could have put two and two together.
Yeah.
But because I just went into it thinking, oh, Amber Alise loved this, I will love it too. You know what I mean? Like, then I got to experience it right there alongside Claudia.
You know what? It's kind of... I think that... I don't like saying it made the experience because that's a terrible ending, but as far as you not... I think it's good when you can't guess that. I think that's good writing. You know what I mean? You going into it like that and not being able to be like, oh, yeah, I can point this out. I think that's good.
Yeah, it is incredibly written. It is absolutely incredibly written.
I completely agree. I love this book.
I do too. I am Tiffany B. Jackson. It's funny, like I said, I liked this book much more than the other book of hers that I read, but I still enjoyed the other book.
Yeah.
But even with that book, I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna read more from this author because, like, she just writes good stories. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. I was just agreeing with you.
Even when, like, that book, I thought that you're currently reading it, and this video isn't about that, but even though I think that the day-to-day life stuff, the daily horror stuff, she wrote impeccably. I'm just not into witchy horror.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't care for the witchy horror stuff.
Yeah.
But it was still an incredible book.
That's what it is. It's like even her not so great stuff is great. It's just you're comparing it to something like this, and it's like, this is a top tier amazing book for me. So it some of it doesn't, it's not the same, but the same quality of writing is there, and the same method of keeping you on your toes the whole time is there, and the creativity is there. So yeah, she's just, I'm so glad I've entered the world of her books, because I'm not leaving. So
yeah, well, I'm glad you brought me into this world, because I am right there with you. And she has a lot of books.
And I'm so jealous that you have, like, you get to start all this this from the beginning, but I'm also very happy, and I want to hear all your thoughts about these books.
I'll do Grown next.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amber Alise, for coming on my channel again and for chatting with me, for recommending Monday is Not Coming, and then chatting with me about it. I appreciate you giving your time. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we sign off?
No, just thank you for having me and giving us this opportunity to talk about this book on your platform, because I think it's so important, and I'm happy to be a part of the conversation.
Well, of course, like I said before, you're always welcome. I love chatting with you.
I love chatting with
Amber,
you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying I love chatting with you, too.
Oh. Well, thank you. Amber Alise's channel will be linked in the description of this video, so please go check her out. Please subscribe. She's incredible. Every one of her videos is amazing. So we will talk to you again soon. Thank you so much for joining us for this chat. Bye.
Bye.